This is Britt from Riley B Graphics. I've made some Christmas tree farm backdrops, and if you aren't familiar how to use them, I'm just going to show you here quickly. So I've opened a background which is 6,000 by 4,500 pixels, or 20 by 15 inches, which is quite big. So you can obviously make it smaller and just transform your image to fit. So drag it in, and to place it you just click the check mark. And then this is assuming that you have already removed the background from your subject. So this little girl is on a transparent background. I'm going to press shift and drag the boundary handles to make her a little bit bigger, and then click the check mark again. And then you can see that she's perfectly in focus, and so is this tree, and her arm is in front of the tree, so we need to blur the background a little bit. So just click the tree layer and go up to filter, down to blur, to Gaussian blur. You can start down at 0 and then move it up to whatever you think looks right. I wouldn't go too much, just a little bit more blurred than she is, around about 5 pixels. Looks fine. And then click OK. And that's all you have to do for her. Now I'm going to show you another example where they have full bodies, so they need to have shadows underneath them. So this is image number 12. These two little girls, I'm going to stand them in front here, maybe a little bit out of the picture. But if you look at this tree, you can see there's a little bit more grass and little less grass on this side compared to this side. So I would flip it to give them a bit more space. So go to your tree layer, Command T, right click in the middle here somewhere and say flip horizontal. And then you'll see they've got a little bit more space to put your shadow in. There are different ways of doing shadows. I'm going to just show you an easy way of painting shadows in here. So to do that, we're going to open a blank layer behind the girls. So we're going to go to the plus sign here to add a layer, and then just drag it down behind the girls. So this is the layer we're working on. So make sure your paint is set to black. Okay. Take a soft brush, and then we're going to make it a little bit bigger. You can just press the right square bracket key and then just paint a biggish area, which would be their shadow. If you look at the trees here, they've got a big shadow directly below them. So this would kind of be that shadow. Then we're going to go up to the blending mode, and we're going to blend it on, say, overlay. That looks too dark, so we're going to turn the opacity right down to just make a softer patch. Okay, and then we're going to build it up. So we're going to make another layer, and we're going to paint another one a little bit closer to them. That. We're going to do the same thing. Go to overlay, turn it down a little bit. And then I'm going to zoom in so you can see underneath her boot here, she needs to have a harsher shadow here. So we're going to make one more layer and make our brush a little bit smaller. Just paint underneath her boot and maybe under her boots as well. And then you could put it to overlay, or you can go up to multiply and turn it down. Multiply is a little bit darker. In fact, that looks a bit flat. So I think I'm going to go back to overlay, but I'm going to leave it on 100% this time. And then we also need to blur the trees, because you can see the trees are perfectly in focus the same as they are. It doesn't look right. So go to your tree layer, to filter. You can click this Gaussian blur at the top, which will be the last setting you used, or you can do the blur, Gaussian blur again. So the last one we used was at like 5.2. You can just do that, it's just a shortcut. I wouldn't go too blurred. Maybe around about there. Maybe like 4.8. Okay, and that's just an easy way to do a shadow. If you want to, you can change the opacity, make it a little bit darker. Whatever you think looks right. Okay, so that's them. And then the next one has got fairy lights. This is image number 5. And then I'm going to bring this couple in, make them a little bit bigger. I don't like to plonk things right in the middle. I would maybe just move her a little bit off. Okay, so you can see he's perfectly in focus, and so is this tree. So this tree is going to have to blur. So go to this layer, filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Maybe around about there. So okay. And then I'm going to show you something with lighting. It's a little more complicated. You don't have to do this, but if you want to, when there's fairy lights, if you want to just add like a little bit of light to his hair, sort of like his shoulder, and maybe her hat and pom-pom. Okay, this is a little more tricky. So what we're going to do is do a color dodge layer. So select your people. You're going to go layer, new layer. Where it says mode here, you're going to go down to color dodge, and you must click fill with color dodge. Okay, so what it's going to do is make a black layer for you. You say okay, see, it's made this. This is the layer we're going to paint in. But we only want to paint in the people. If we start painting here, it's going to paint on the people and on the background. So we need to clip this layer into the people. So to do that, you right click and you say create clipping mask. So whatever you do in here will only go onto the people. So I'm going to show you, we're going to switch our colors around, and we're going to choose a yellow because that's the color of the lights. Maybe a little warmer. Say okay. And then we're going to take a soft brush, and it's very important to change your flow down, because if you paint with a high flow like this, look how bright it makes. This is more for making like bokeh and things. We don't want to do that. So we're going to Command Z to undo. You need to turn your flow right down to like about 2%. Make sure you have a soft brush still. Make it a little bit bigger, and then we're going to just paint around the edge of his hair where the light would catch. It's not going to paint on, no matter how hard you paint on the background, it won't paint because it's clipped only into the people. So we're going to paint just on his hair, around the edge of his jacket, a little bit on his arm here, and on the front of her hat, and on the tip of her pom-pom. You don't have to do this. This is just an optional extra. Maybe a bit on her hair. So that's, let me just zoom in so you can see his hair. So that's without it, and that's with just a little bit of extra light for the fairy lights. And that's all there is to it. But if this looks a bit intimidating, then leave out that step. It's perfectly fine. But the blur is quite important. And that's all. If you have any questions, I'm very happy to help. Thanks so much. Bye.